and welcome back to the podcast. And we're sorry we have been gone for quite some time. But a story cut short here. I had to isolate and I've been really ill, and I'm still trying to recover, and I'm still isolating. This is your host, Jason, to present a special guest as we try and dissect the latest news coming all the way from WWE. We are an unbiased show, and we're going to try and go into this topic with an open mind. The news that's been floating around the past few days has been sad, it's been shocking, and I have some major concerns for the rest of the guys and women back in that locker room, as no one, in my opinion, from my perspective, is safe at this current time.
Ladies and gentlemen, everything will be fine because he will return. The house will be big, it will be bad, it will be strong.
And welcome back, and this is the Contenders Corner podcast, and welcome to the show. We have a special guest, Scott Cater. Introduce yourself, mate.
Hello, everyone. Good to be on Contenders podcast again, Contenders Corner. Very happy to be here.
We are privileged that you have took this time to join us here for, well, what is some breaking news, terrible news in my opinion. But we'll start off with something positive. Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. What do you think about this news going to AEW?
I'll be glad to see them there, personally. I mean, really, the only companies I really watch is WWE and AEW. So I'll get to see Daniel Bryan and CM Punk in a wrestling ring. So for me, that's very good for me. Absolutely brilliant.
Would you say CM Punk could do a U-turn? Would
what you mean? Re-sign WWE? You mean?
Would you say could this happen? Like CM Punk is rumored to go AEW. He's very likely to go AEW, but he does a U-turn and goes WWE.
That would shock me. It would. I mean, we all know that CM Punk and WWE parted on not great terms when he retired back in 2014. And I know he came back to do, what was it, the bump or something he did? He did one of the...
I don't think it was the bump. I think it was the show before Dean Ambrose's wife left. I can't remember the show.
It was one of those talk shows. I can't remember the name of them.
It was a talk show.
That he agreed to that.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people I hear about thinking his in-ring days are done. I won't know what to think until I see him. But as far as a U-turn... I think that's less likely than signing for AEW. I think AEW is more likely.
See, I kind of agree with you. AEW is more likely at this moment in time because we've seen Darby Allin call him out. So if he does a U-turn, then the AEW fans are going to be quite pissed off, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I'll say so. I mean,
they've built him up. They've built him up pretty much
it's
right
all
now.
Set up for him. It's all set up for him. I mean, Rampage starts off in Chicago. Darby Allin's mentioned it. I mean, there must be some news. I mean, wrestlers, they probably know more than they let on. There's bound to be talk in the boardrooms and behind the curtains each week about whether Phillip Brooks, aka CM Punk, will join AEW. So they must know something. And I think they're actually quite excited for it because CM Punk is a massive name over the last 10, 20 years in wrestling.
I did quite enjoy his run.
I think he was a fantastic champion.
He's the champion that I like to see. But WWE haven't really done that kind of a champion as of late.
The thing is, I've been a WWE fan since I was a young kid, but the way they've booked the champions over the last couple of months and maybe years, it isn't what you'd expect from a champion.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of people hate Roman Reigns, and a lot of people don't like sort of how he's come across. But if you think about it, the reign he's had has actually been more impressive than the guy himself.
Yeah,
He's held the title.
I agree. I agree. As
We're approaching a year now.
as what we do on this show, we are unbiased, and we try to go into everything with an open mind. And I have been very critical. To be honest, I have been very critical of Roman in the past, and I didn't like what he was doing when he come straight to NXT. I thought that they, because John Cena had left and The Rock had gone, they was trying to push Roman into being the next big thing straight away, and I thought
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right on that part.
There was rushing him too much, I think. But with this U-turn he's done, with the way he's redeveloped himself, recreated himself, I thought like only certain wrestlers have ever done that, and they've come out successful. But he's done it, and he's been successful with it. You know what I mean? No one thought he would come back and go into it as a heel and get as far over as he has done, and I think it's been an impressive start for him, a new start for him.
The actual gimmick's been designed perfectly for him.
Yeah.
Because of his Samoan heritage, he can pull off the tribal chief, the head of the table, because he can pull it off. That's the thing about him. I mean, not many people can, because he's a bigger name than both Jimmy and Jay, even though they are impressed as a tag team. And there's not a lot of, I mean, Samoa Joe, they've been too hit and miss on him. I think this gimmick with Roman being as head of the table and this title reign, it fits him perfectly. Absolutely.
Well, a few weeks ago, so I'm going to still talk about this anyway, because I didn't really talk about this much.
No worries.
So, with the news of Jimmy getting arrested, what did you think of that? Your honest thoughts.
My first impression was, well, it's not the first time it's happened to him, but the thing is, he might have his own issues going on. I'm definitely in no position to criticise the guy or judge the guy at all. I mean, whatever, he might have some issues that he might be dealing with. But obviously, it's a bad look from a commercial point of view. If you're owning the business like Vince McMahon does, yeah, it doesn't look good on him and the business. But maybe Jimmy just needs that little bit of the arm around his shoulder, just to say, like, mate, if you need to speak to us, speak to us.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I mean, they've put the SmackDown tag titles on him and Jay, so I think WWE are still supportive of him. They're still backing him. They're pushing him into this storyline with Roman. They've just won the SmackDown tag titles from the Mysterios at Money in the Bank. They still hold Jimmy in high regard, and I do too. And I think the Usos.
I was quite annoyed with his DUI, with his arrest. Would you say WWE were wrong to give him no punishment? Because he's done this twice before.
Well, they have been strict in the past when it comes to punishing people who have done outside activities. I mean, you only have to look at Enzo Amore and Rich Swann as prime examples. They both lost their jobs because of something that happened outside. I suppose that could have been the same for Jeff Hardy as well in the past. So I think they probably could have done something to sort of say, like, mate, you really need to stop doing this now. It's getting out of hand.
Especially with the way that he went down, drink driving and stuff like that. That's a huge thing. It could have killed somebody. Do you know what I mean?
It's not a good look. It's definitely not. It doesn't reflect well.
Especially, because WWE went straight away and just gave him the title straight away. Do you know what I mean? They didn't go, oh,
I mean, that was a shock. I mean,
I
even
thought
though
they would have fined him.
I predicted the Usos would sort of win that match, but the thing is, I don't know. Maybe it is too soon. Maybe they could have had them lose the Mysterios and then win the titles further down the line.
This video is called "The Errors of WWE." Recently, would you say that is an error that they didn't go out and at least talk to Jimmy, at least fine Jimmy, or at least punish Jimmy?
Possibly, yes. I mean, it should be only because of the way they've dealt with others in the past. Some people have been severely punished for probably maybe less than that, maybe some more, but maybe something, maybe just even if they've given him a talking to, but maybe putting the belt on them so soon, I mean, maybe it does say more than what happened, but some people do like to sort of read between the lines when things like that happen.
Yeah. Going back to CM Punk.
Yes.
Daniel Bryan. Would you say it's an error on WWE's recruitive part that they didn't at least talk with CM Punk or talk with Daniel Bryan to bring them back?
1000% yes. Absolutely. I mean, Daniel Bryan, for me, is one of the best in-ring performers on the planet. I mean, he's a technician.
He's everything that you would want in WWE. It can be babyface, it can be heel, it can do everything. He's a big merch seller, so why wouldn't they at least bring him back? You know,
well, I agree. Daniel Bryan he's someone that any wrestling fan, whether you're an underdog or anything, can relate to. I mean, the story when he defied the authority and won the titles at WrestleMania 30, possibly one of the greatest WrestleMania moments ever. And the fact that they've just, yeah, absolutely. And to see his contracts run down and then for it to just, it is a surprise because Daniel Bryan, even when he was on the shelf with the neck injury, he was still there as a great general manager. I mean, Daniel Bryan, he's the yes movement is incredible. It's been one of things in recent years.
Say Daniel Bryan was the start of the downfall with these releases going on. They released Daniel Bryan. They didn't at least talk to try and bring him back. Was that the start? Was that the start of the curve of these big names going?
Maybe not the start, but I think it emphasized it a little bit because I mean beforehand they were just releasing, not saying that they're not big names, guys like Rusev, Eric Rowan, Gallows and Anderson. They were still had their part to play, but Daniel Bryan, in terms of WWE stature and the size, in recent years, Daniel Bryan has been one of the key players. So I think with him leaving and signing for what looks to be the biggest American rival, 100%, maybe not the biggest global because NJPW is still very massive, but for someone who's going against WWE in America and with the possible side of him going there, yeah, I think he's the biggest name if you think about it. So it's not a good look on WWE's part whatsoever.
We didn't talk about this on our podcast either, because obviously I've been ill. I've had to isolate and stuff like that, so I've missed quite a lot of topics. You know what I mean? Aleister Black.
Yes.
Was that an error on WWE's part as well?
I think WWE mishandled Aleister Black on the main roster, full stop.
Would you say they mistreated him?
I believe so, yes, because I was reading Wrestle Talk magazine and Sean Sapp, who's from Fight I thought. He was a pretty good wrestling journalist. He had this big piece about how WWE have been booking over the last year or so, and there was a thing in there about Aleister Black. Did you know Aleister Black went through near enough a whole year without being defeated in a match, and WWE didn't even build on that? There was hardly any mention of it. It's like he just sits under the radar without anyone noticing him. He had an incredible
you would
run.
have thought they would have built the story up on that, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And then they just left him off TV for months, which was, well, criminal, because that guy is so talented.
Very talented.
And then for him to come in and possibly start turning out with Big E, which I would have been very interested in. Aleister Black and Big E have been a fantastic rivalry.
Well, they booked it well. You would have thought, okay, going into that pay-per-view, we would have had Big E, Aleister Black, but then, bang, he's off TV.
Oh, and the thing is, Jace, I mean, they didn't even edit his contract. That's how less they thought of him. Because what they do from NXT, if they release an NXT contract, they can sign you after 30 days. When you move up to the main roster, they edit it to this 90-day no-compete clause.
Yeah, clause, yeah.
Black's contract wasn't even edited. That is just...
it's good that you mentioned the contract, because I was going to go into this. Regarding the contract, would you say... that was an error, a calculated miserror, which allowed AEW to swipe Aleister Black?
I think it's just massive complacency from WWE. I mean, to miss it, it's just, you don't expect that from a company the size WWE. They're supposed to be the number one global powerhouse company, and for them to sort of make that a small error can be so massive.
So the thing is, I went into this and I thought, okay, maybe there was going to, because lately they've been trying to save a lot of money. So they've been cutting a lot of their stars. Let's get rid of Aleister Black, but try and bring him back and re-sign him. But because they didn't know about his contract, allowed AEW to swipe him. That's how I thought. That's how I went and thought into this. Like, maybe WWE were trying to save money, but try and bring him back with a cheaper deal. But they didn't, because which allowed AEW to swipe him because of his contract.
It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. I mean, I can't believe that I feel this way about the company, but it would not surprise me if that was the reason behind it. Not at all.
Keith Lee.
Yes.
See, I don't know what's gone wrong. What do you think's happening regarding Keith Lee? The situation.
The situation is, it's not good. I mean, in my opinion, Keith Lee is the best big man in all of wrestling. That guy can do so much.
He's pretty much another Braun Strowman, another Samoa Joe. You would have thought at least a big guy like that is potentially another top big seller, a big merchandise seller, and you would have thought they would at least try and protect him.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way he was booked in NXT was brilliant. Triple H could see
absolutely,
but I just don't think he fits Vince's vision. I mean, Vince is very openly not a great fan of tag team wrestling, and as soon as he called up Keith Lee, he sort of wore this vest type attire, whereas he was bare chested in NXT. I just think Vince has this vision, and it doesn't matter how talented someone can be or how great on the mic they can be. If they don't fit his vision of his company, then they won't get the pushes they deserve. And
it's sad, really.
Sad.
If that's the case, then it's really sad.
I mean, that's some incredible tag teams go through there that have been wasted. I mean, look at Ricochet. I mean, what a talented guy he is.
Yeah, and he's been mistreated as well.
I mean, John Morrison, they make him look an absolute tit, pardon my French, be with The Miz and acting like this Johnny Drip Drip. John Morrison has so much talent.
He is, mate. He is. And you'd have thought, okay, he's done a lot for this company in the past. He's come back. Let's book him well. Let's give him some opportunities. But they haven't gone that way, have they? Really? They made him look like a joke.
I mean, to be fair, seeing him in the Money in the Bank ladder match, that was good. I mean, but we need to build on that. I mean, you got Sheamus as US champion. I mean, why can't he drop that belt maybe to someone like John Morrison or Ricochet and give them a bit of a move? But I think Damian Priest might be the next guy to be pushed, because I mean, Jeff Hardy, another guy who's paid his dues and we're hardly seeing him. Elias, great personality. You don't really see him that much, but it is sad, but it's not surprising either.
Moving into the next topic.
Okay.
Karrion Kross, when they called him into Raw, what did you think of him coming over to Raw and his losses? I don't get what they were trying to do. I think I think Raw and SmackDown as a whole are mistreating NXT.
Well, I knew he was destined for the main roster because he took part in a few dark matches, which was non-televised. So I knew destined. But for him to sort of lose to Jeff Hardy and the
way he did as well, he was squashed, weren't he? Pretty much.
It's that definitely was a surprise. I mean, the week after, I mean, if Jeff Hardy didn't receive that positive COVID test, the rumours are he would have lost to Jeff Hardy again. But then they make him.
Is this an error move?
Well, I'm not sure if it's an error yet. I mean, if it carries on, then yeah. But I think the plan is for Kross to move up to the main roster. And I suppose the first few months he'll probably do well. It's a pattern.
Yeah.
So yes, as usually when you can't from NXT, the pattern is they do well for a few months, and after that they sort of like fall into the system with everyone else.
Is Scarlett gonna join him?
From rumours I'm hearing, yes. I believe eventually she will.
Okay, moving into the next topic, which is quite a shocker, and I thought myself, out of all the people you would release, you would not want to release this guy, Bray Wyatt.
100%. I mean, Bray is one of the most charismatic, talented, hard-working guys in WWE. I mean, he's got more charisma in his pinky than you've seen a lot of the guys on there. That is true. The bloke knows how to draw in an audience. He can sell a character superbly. His in-ring work is incredibly underrated.
I just don't get it. Like,
me neither.
You've got a character, you've got an entertainer, you've got a big merchandise seller, but you want to bring back someone like Eva Marie. I just don't get it.
I don't get that whatsoever.
I really don't. It's like, come on.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
there's something else going on. Like they're using the same excuse. Budget cuts. It's budget cuts. It's budget. Is something else going on in the background?
There must be. I mean, WWE are financially very well off because it's not just the in-ring work. They've got deals all over the world. They've got the TV packages all over the world, video games, action figures, T-shirts, DVDs.
And
I mean,
if no one's talking about this, like, everyone's just accepting this excuse, like, oh, it's budget cuts, and it'll be fine. So they'll bring someone else in. No,
yeah,
I don't accept this. Let's talk hard
no,
here. Let's talk hard.
exactly. Budget
Is there
cuts are
something
what
else
we're
going on
being.
in the background, in the sidelines?
No, I think budget cuts are what we're being told. That's what I think. I mean, we will probably never know the full story unless Wyndham speaks out.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope he's not struggling too well mentally. If he is, get well soon, Wyndham. We're all
Look, I,
behind you.
I understand, like, if there was an other, if there is, you know, if that was the case, his mental health, because of his best friend, what happened with his best friend
Of course,
during the pandemic, he died.
yeah, it was
Then fair
very
play. Then fair play. I 100%, 1,000,000,000% accept that excuse.
Yeah,
Everyone with
yeah.
mental health deserves to step away, recover.
absolutely
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Could not agree more.
the budget cuts and John Laurinaitis calling him up as well, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I'm not 100% convinced. I mean, when you start quoting budget cuts, I mean, they could release a few of the smaller people on lesser money
exactly.
that people won't recognise. People won't realise they've gone. I mean, Akira Tozawa. I mean, I don't mean to be like, I don't wish anyone to leave the company. But when you've got people who don't get seen that often, like Tozawa, Carrillo, Angel Garza, I mean, there's people out there that will miss them, but not as much as the likes of Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, and Aleister Black. I mean, there's more that they could have done. The guys between, even Braun, I mean, 2 or 3 weeks before he was released, he was in a WWE title match on pay-per-view.
Yes.
Against Lashley and McIntyre. So it's just a lot of the decisions have.
And that actually was a really good match, to be honest. I thought that was better than how he was booked in WrestleMania. I thought that was a lot better going forward. And you would have thought, okay, maybe not with him losing against Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. You would have thought, okay, he's had a title opportunity, but maybe in the future he'll get another chance to face Bobby.
Yes, I thought it was a possibility too. But then when I saw that he had resigned, or not resigned, he was let go, my first thought was, is this a prank?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I saw Braun Strowman's name, I thought, was this a prank?
To be honest, mate, like, as soon as I heard Braun Strowman's name, Samoa Joe was the first hurdle for me. I thought that, especially a talent like that, he was good on commentary box. He's good in the ring. He's good on a promo. He's another big merchandise seller. And you would have thought, okay, let's protect Samoa Joe.
Yeah, the thing with Joe is a lot of people are saying that he's not medically fit to compete. Maybe Joe wanted to sort of push those boundaries and compete a bit, and Vince's medical staff wasn't happy with it, and that's why he was originally released. But then Triple H thankfully stuck up for him and brought him back. And now I think was it Cross versus Joe at TakeOver for the NXT Championship?
Possibly.
Yeah, the rumours are mirroring, and now Joe's going to be competing, and that'll be the perfect chance, I think, for them to now take the title from Cross and push him onto the main roster full time. But with Joe, I think Joe wanted to compete more, and the medical team wasn't too keen on it. I mean, maybe that's the reason why Paul White got released too, and Paul White went elsewhere.
It's a shame what they're doing, really. Like, it's concerning now.
Oh,
After Bray Wyatt,
I'm starting to feel concerned. I've been very open on social media platforms about me being a WWE guy. I am.
Yeah.
WWE's been in my heart since I was a young man, and always will be. But it is, I am concerned, 100%.
With the news from Bray Wyatt being released, with the rumours straight after WrestleMania, there was a promo of the Funhouse. Did Bray Wyatt foreshadow his own release?
Well, I've not really seen much of the promo. I know something happened because after Alexa really shocked everyone by turning on him. I think it's possible. Maybe it could have been a goodbye because he hasn't really been seen since. But the rumours are he was getting himself in good shape to return this month.
And exactly a week
The thing
before
is-
this news, there was a photo going round, and he looked in incredible shape. And you would have thought, okay, the August return is coming. And
Yeah,
that
but
photo.
maybe the question is, was he getting himself in shape for WWE, or was he getting himself in shape for someone else?
True. Are we going to see Bray Wyatt in AEW? Wyndham Rotunda.
I would like to, because I think with the Dark Order storyline with Brody Lee being one of Wyndham's best mates.
Well, I saw
I
something
mean-
on Twitter, and he changed his Twitter account, and he put on there, Cult of Wyndham coming soon. Is this speculation for a Wyatt family return?
Well, you saw Braun's tweet as well, saying, "Come meet me, brother," or something
Yeah,
along those lines. So
Another tweet there.
yeah, I mean, it's completely up to him. If he's ready and he's right with himself to do it, then I would love to see AEW sign him, Marie, because he can offer so much. And the thing with WWE, a lot of the promos you see from them, a lot of the stuff is planned in house. I think with AEW, there's more creative freedom to sort of allow the star to
Yeah.
come out of their own shell.
I think that will be the perfect place for him to go, as AEW allow their wrestlers to have control, creative direction, and I think that will
Yeah.
be good for the Fiend to return there.
Of course, and Tommy End spoke quite open about the more creative freedom with Tony Khan
Yeah.
gives his roster. He's very open about it in interviews, and Tony Khan, great wrestling mind, great wrestling guy. He allows me to be creative
Yeah.
myself. And just look at 2 nights from now on Wednesday night, it's Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes at AEW Homecoming, and I think that's going to be
a great match.
that's going to be fantastic. Can't wait.
I can't wait for that match, man. Seriously, to see Aleister Black again, back in the ring. It's a shame what went down in WWE, but at least we're getting him back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, even if he sort of uses some of the characteristics that he was given in WWE, because I think he wanted to be a heel a lot longer than they made him a heel. They pushed him as this big baby face in NXT, which worked. In NXT, that character works brilliantly.
But moving forward to the main roster, it didn't work out for him. There was booking him badly, and then it just pear-shaped.
I mean, he had
didn't have him on
2
screen.
big wins. That was roughly about it. The 2 big wins was AJ Styles at Elimination Chamber after The Undertaker basically came back and screwed AJ. And he had the great win over Lashley at WrestleMania. And I'm a bit disappointed that they didn't push Black on from there. I mean, that was a great win. It was a great win over Bobby at WrestleMania.
With this tweet speculating from Alexa Bliss, is this true? Or is it just another rumour? Is Alexa Bliss next to be released?
Are you referring to the tweet where she said about her?
She's
She
very
enjoyed,
upset. Yeah, she's
she enjoyed her time with him more than anyone else.
Yeah.
At this point of time, I'm going to say not yet. I still think there's more that Alexa will offer in a WWE ring. That's what I believe. I still think that she will continue with a couple more storylines. Maybe I'd like to see a feud with Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley.
But with Bray missing, is there gonna be like something's missing? Is that gonna come across with Alexa? Like she's enjoying this character, you know, because she obviously did it with Bray Wyatt. But is there gonna be this?
Well, this character that she's putting off would not have been possible without the Fiend. So yeah, I suppose
will that show in her body language? Like she's missing something.
Possibly, but I mean, they're performers at the end of the day. Wrestlers will hide whatever ill they're feeling very well when they're on camera. I mean, you see behind the scenes, Lexi Kaufman be much different to the Alexa Bliss we see on screen. They'll hide it very well, but yeah, it won't be the same. Viewers will know it won't be the same, and she will know it won't be the same. But in terms of her leaving, I don't think that will happen just yet. I still think that she'll be in WWE for the next, possibly at least until the end of the year.
We talked about this briefly earlier on, but I'd save it for now. With all these releases, with all these big names going, is anyone safe now?
I think certain people are. I think Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, as it stands, Bobby Lashley, the likes of Seth Rollins, I think they are definitely safe, because I don't think Vince will release those guys right now, because they're still offering a lot on camera, and they're selling merchandise. They're sort of getting themselves over. Certain people, there's a lot of people that are not safe, but I think there are a couple that are.
Do you have a list of who's going to go next?
Well, if I was going to guess, it would be the talent that's not being seen as much. Guys that I mentioned earlier, like Akira Tozawa, Umberto Carrillo.
Could Cesaro be the next big name?
In his hand, he's got the whole world in his hand. Because you infect everything and everyone around you. Where, oh, where has my monster gone? Oh, where could he? Fools! You are all fools!
We got you back on, brother. Don't worry about that. That video was safe. Don't worry.
Okay.
Could you see Cesaro be the next in line to go?
What saddens me is I won't be surprised if he does go. I'm hoping that he's on the safe list. But as you've seen over the last since WrestleMania last year, they've let go people that you wouldn't want to see let go. So,
do you
have
concerns for WWE now?
Absolutely. What I'm concerned about the most is the fact that they're willing to let
Big names
some
go, yeah.
talented big names go to quote budget cuts, but I'm not necessarily buying that term, which is something might be happening behind the scenes. I just got these weird suspicions saying something behind the scenes, and yeah, it's a concern.
With you just saying that now, because I said that earlier, like something big could be happening behind the scenes. What do you think could be happening, or you can't just picture it at this moment?
It could be stars not being happy without their booked. I think there's been some talent on the roster that's not been happy with the way they have been booked, and I think that's probably one of what the things they're most annoyed about. I think
I
Andrade.
heard something that Vince doesn't want his wrestlers to come to him with an idea anymore, and that a YouTuber said this and touched on this topic, that Vince had come out and said that he doesn't want his wrestlers to come to him, to keep coming to his door, to his office with an idea. It's down to the creative to write their stuff. Could that be true?
I think it could be, because I remember reading something from Kalisto, and he was interested in a mask versus mask match against Rey Mysterio. Now, Rey was up for the deal. Paul Heyman, he spoke about Paul Heyman with it, and Paul Heyman loved it, but it didn't get round to discussing it with Vince. Now, whether that what you just said is true,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think it could be possible.
Someone said on a group earlier, could WWE be going into debt?
I mean, we won't know for certain, but
Has the
it is
pandemic
possible.
hit them in some kind of way?
Well, the pandemic will naturally hit any company in any way. I mean, there's been no fans there. They've had to rely basically on online sales and stuff. But they're a big name. I mean, they're a global. There's billions and billions of dollars in that
Now,
company.
You'd have thought that would not be true, because obviously they made
Well,
a
yeah.
lot, even though the fans weren't there. There was the Thunderdome there. They had a lot of cinematic matches, and even though the fans weren't there, they did make quite a lot of money. So
Well,
you would
yeah,
have
probably
thought, okay,
online.
why
Probably
budget
online
cuts?
sales. Yeah, I mean,
So you'd have thought, okay, you've made a lot of
yeah,
money during that year. Why would you keep using the term budget cuts?
exactly. And it's fans are back now. They're going to start hopefully raking in more money through ticket sales. And through ticket sales, you get merch. You get merch stalls. So, I mean, there's only so much you can sort of believe. If you're saying to someone, okay, we're getting ready for budget cuts, and they probably think, if it's someone lower down the roster, you'd think, okay, fair enough. But Bray Wyatt? Braun Strowman?
Unbelievable, isn't it? I still can't fathom that he's gone, to be honest. Especially with the next pay-per-view, he was possibly going to come back at SummerSlam.
Yeah, and SummerSlam is one of the big four.
Yeah.
They're holding their open American football stadium in Las Vegas. So you're putting a show in possibly one of the richest cities in the world in an open plan sports stadium, but yet you can't afford to pay Bray Wyatt's wages.
With Raw opening tonight, with Raw hours away,
Yes.
with this backlash coming ahead, Ric Flair gone, Bray Wyatt's gone now, possibly Alexa could be going next, possibly another big name going, Adam Cole. Are we going to see some kind of shutdown on Raw? Are the fans going to switch off?
diehard wrestling fans will probably tune in, but I think there will be fans inside the building that will be quite vocal about, especially because Bray Wyatt was such a massive fan favourite, and they will understandably be as shocked as we are. So I think there'll be probably a few Bray Wyatt chants in the crowd. And maybe expected CM Punk because you get every single show. It's a what chance, you know? Certain fans are in every show.
Is there anyone now? Well, with all this backlash from Bray Wyatt, the big names going, Aleister Black, possibly more on the way, Adam Cole on the way. Now, you would have thought, okay, if one big name had gone, they could have recovered with John Cena returning. But with all these big names thrown in the mix, is there a way for WWE to come back?
Well, I think what WWE probably need to do is they've got to create new stars. There's people that's come up from NXT over the past year or so, guys like Damian Priest. I think Riddle is held in quite high regard with the hierarchy. They've got to make new stars. The only way they got to do that is by giving them exposure on the screen. So that's what they've got to do. They've got to try and make some new stars.
Are we going to see Brock Lesnar?
Well, that's a man I've heard quite a lot of rumours about over the past couple of days. He's signed for a company that's not WWE. Then I've heard people saying he signed a contract with AEW. Then I've heard people saying that's false news. I think we actually need Brock Lesnar. I know a lot of people won't agree with that statement, but
I kind of agree. I think someone like Brock Lesnar could not save it, but it would bring in some viewers right now anyway.
Yeah, it might bring in a couple, but I think what wrestling fans... There's a saying that goes round, no one hates wrestling more than wrestling fans. And that is 100% true, that saying. Because someone will criticise something. That's what I know. There's going to be someone out there that won't be happy with it. And I think as a company, what wrestling fans would want to see is some of the lesser used talent pushed into the main event picture. So I think that they need to do a mixture. They need the big stars to help the stars of tomorrow. That's what they really need right now. Some newer stars.
From out of everybody that's been released this year since WrestleMania, was Bray Wyatt the biggest mistake that they've made?
I think it's a tie between Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan. They're both big. They're both over in their own rights. But Bray did hurt more because it was unexpected. With Daniel Bryan, there was rumours going around that his contract was running out, and I think people sort of knew they could prepare themselves in advance.
Yeah.
But
with Bray Wyatt, you can't because
I found out
Bray Wyatt, it was too good, and you the way it went down as well, especially with him being mentally unwell, and you'd have thought that he's unwell.
Absolutely.
We'll try and look after him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Bray, obviously, he's took some time off, understandably, because the Wyatt family, they were so close. But then just to see what happened, I mean, I think it was Jono put it in the SW chat saying Bray Wyatt's been released RB. I thought to myself, what's he going about now? I thought myself. And then
I didn't believe it when you was talking about it. I didn't believe it.
I looked it up. I thought it's true. I went, what? What? That one annoyed me more than Braun, and Braun annoyed me.
Is there going to be bad blood now with Bray Wyatt and WWE?
I hope not, but I mean, I think we've seen it with Cody Rhodes. We've seen it with a few others where they've.
Yeah.
I
Dusty
think Chris
Rhodes.
Jericho had one. They've openly criticised WWE in some of their promos. I think they could, because we will never know the full story unless
Bray
it
Wyatt.
gets
Comes,
right.
yeah. Until he comes out and says,
Yeah. So I would, in my heart, I hope not. But in this world, the way things are going, yeah, it's possible.
with what you said earlier in a recent group chat, is Adam Cole safe with his contract?
Well, from what I've understood, is contracts are supposed to be either running out now or after SummerSlam, and there's no guarantee what he will do. I mean, he might reevaluate things, or he might go back to the Indies. But I think WWE really need to sit down with him and get him signed down, because Adam Cole is, well, he's a draw. Fans love him.
If, and that's a big if, they don't sit down and talk with him, they let him go, would that be you saying calling WWE a day?
I will never personally call it a day with WWE, because it's been in my life since I was a kid. Stars come and go. I mean, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mick Foley, Bret the Hitman Hart. I mean, it'd be irritating, because
It's a big name, yeah.
yeah, certain guys are not being treated the way they should be, and
You would have thought, okay, if they want to get rid of people, then they would get rid of the people that aren't getting over with fans, that aren't selling as much merchandise.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
know
I
what
mean,
but it's a totally different swerve. It's like, let's get rid of our big names and we'll keep these.
exactly. I mean, Adam Cole is
And that's quite kind of confusing.
I mean, Adam Cole's a heel, supposed to be hated. But how many people in the arena and around the world, when watching him on TV, go, Adam Cole, baby, when he does his pose? The majority of people do. That's how liked he is.
A YouTuber touched on this 3 months ago. I had him on my podcast when we did the Roman Reigns video.
The roasting of Roman Reigns.
The roast of Roman Reigns, yeah. And I watched that video back on his YouTube, and I thought, this conspiracy could be true. Now, I'm going to ask you this question, as he asked people in his live stream, that question.
Well, I know you like a conspiracy, so this should be good.
Are WWE and AEW secretly working together?
Whoa. If that was true, I would be really surprised.
See, now, watching it back, because you've seen all these big names quickly going to AEW. Mark Henry's going, Big Show, Sting, Aleister Black, possibly CM Punk, possibly Daniel Bryan. It's pretty much looking like a WWE second-hand company.
Well, if that was to be announced as true, that will change the landscape of how fans view professional wrestling. Because I think the chances of it are slim.
Is Vince and Tony Khan secretly working together?
In my opinion, absolutely not. I just can't see that. I mean, Tony.
It's a good conspiracy, though. It's a good conspiracy because the way things are going right now, it's like WWE are handing AEW some stars.
I mean, that would be the heel turn of all heel turns, wouldn't it? If you think about it, that would be unreal.
Another question that he asked during his stream, I'm going to ask you as well. Will WWE open that forbidden door?
I want them to. God, I want them to. But I think Vince is different to everyone else. Where guys like Impact and New Japan, they're looking at it as exposure. Because there's a lot of AEW fans out there that if they work alongside AEW and sort of form this unit, then it's exposure for them. I mean, some of the guys in Impact, I mean, it's not the most watched show out there, but with Omega being on there, it brings in viewers. And I think with WWE, with Vince, I think he's a bit more reluctant to do that. I mean, look at how he treats people with the outside activities, like the up, down, down YouTube channel. I mean, he put a stop on things like that. So
if they did work together, would you enjoy seeing Kenny Omega
absolutely.
versus Roman Reigns?
Yes, Omega versus Styles. I mean, Hangman Page versus Seth Rollins. That'd be fantastic, brilliant.
The list goes on. Yeah, it would be fantastic to see.
I could fill up your several hours of your YouTube footage talking about the matches that we could love to see here. But yes, I would love to see it. 100%.
Is there a recovery for WWE?
There always is. There always is. I know a lot of people won't see it, but
well, someone on there, like you said earlier, and like what Stone Cold said on one of his podcasts, what this guy said on his YouTube stream. WWE have to evolve. If they can't evolve with someone like Stone Cold or The Rock going, then there's no point in WWE.
100% agree.
I totally agree, but with Bray Wyatt going, it hurt quite bad. I really thought they would have tried and, did a lot more to protect Bray Wyatt. And that one hurts, and it still hurts a few days from hearing that news.
Yeah, of course it still does. I mean, stars.
I totally want them to evolve. I totally want them to evolve. I totally want them to work on their young stars, but you gotta have some kind of space where you say, if my stars are selling a lot of stuff, they're coming across to fans as big entertainers, then I'm gonna pay them money to keep them.
Absolutely, yeah. That's basically how the wrestling business works. The stars that they have on there are, in a way, salesmen, because they need to bring in viewers, merch sales,
and that's quite. And that's the confusing part. It's like Bray Wyatt is a big name. He sells a lot. The Fiend went really well with fans.
Yeah, the Fiend is a brilliant character, both on screen and off it.
And it's like, let's bring in Eva Marie. And it's like, oh my God, what are you doing?
I've got no comment on that.
You know what I mean? And that's the confusing part with me. It's I can't fathom it. It's like, where is this going? Is there some kind of thing behind it? Is WWE gonna end up bringing back Bray Wyatt? Do you think?
I hope they do. I mean, Vince is a proud man. Whatever people could say about him, he's very proud. He's set in his ways, and for them to sort of, I mean, for John Laurinaitis to sort of be behind it. I mean, hopefully Vince will see sense and bring him back. That's what I like. There's rumours that Braun might be coming back, so Why not Bray? I don't know what to believe anymore. My head's completely gone.
With SummerSlam just over the horizon, I'm not going to talk about SummerSlam, but if there is some kind of recovery for them, could a draft recover the wound?
Maybe varying up the rosters a little bit might not recover it straight away.
Yeah.
But if you can vary up the matches, that's one of the things that annoys me most thoroughly right now is repetitive matches. They seem to repeat the same match like 2-3 weeks in a row. So I think if they can freshen it up a little bit, sort of get as many people over as they can, sort of get more people into the limelight, freshen up the matches. It won't work straight away. It will take time, but it will help.
As we're nearly coming to a close with this interview, it's been a fantastic interview. We always welcome you on this show. You are a fantastic person to interview.
Thank you.
You have an encyclopedia of great ideas in your head.
Well, I'm not too sure about that. But
with the other rumour, there was some kind of tweet or some kind of news from a journalist that came out and said Vince McMahon thinks that AEW isn't competition.
Yeah, I saw that.
Is AEW competition, or is Vince correct? Is he right? Or is he running scared? Scott?
What the hell's going on?
We got you back on.
Right. Yeah, I think right now, I mean, in terms of worldwide stature and worldwide fan base, AEW's not there in that sort of sense. But the product they're putting out, I mean, I actually enjoy watching AEW more than WWE, and that is saying something for me. It really is. For me, that is really saying something. But AEW are growing. Their roster's expanding. They're bringing more shows. They are growing, and they eventually will. I can see them overtaking them.
If AEW signs Bray Wyatt, would Vince see them as competition?
Well, Vince, probably not yet. I think us fans, we already know that to be the case. We already know that deep down. But as Vince probably won't, because I think he's too set in his own ways to sort of look at anything else. So, but if Bray goes there, of course, that's going to be, and more people will want to watch AEW.
We've talked about this on and off sometimes on FCW group chat.
Yeah.
I've said it a couple of times. We've talked about it briefly. If with Triple H having some kind of arguments with Vince back and forth, he did bring Samoa Joe back to NXT.
Yes.
Should Triple H disband from WWE?
Ooh, that is that's an interesting question.
Well, with Vince, the reason why I thought this is because Vince has actively gone and said that he thinks NXT, he thinks less of NXT. Should Triple H disband from NXT moving forward? Because I do see them as as a potential competition to Raw. Raw has received less and less views recently in NXT. We're bringing back Samoa Joe. They've had Finn Balor on there with a good, a good return to NXT. He picked up the NXT Championship. He had some fantastic matches with Pete Dunne. The list goes on.
Absolutely.
Should Triple H disband from WWE?
In my opinion, no, because Triple H's mind is probably one of the promising things about WWE, and with WWE fans wanting them to succeed, I think having Triple H on board will only help them do so. So, in my opinion, no, he shouldn't.
No. Should Vince go? Is this the time now for him to hang up his boots and let Triple H, his daughter Shane, rule WWE?
I think you should at least bring in more people to help him oversee things. Because even though Vince has frustrated many of us, some of the work he's done over the years, he's still a genius.
Yeah,
and he still has that side to him. But I think maybe he should sort of not walk away and step back, maybe just step to the side so there's room for someone else to work alongside him. It makes it a bit more fresher.
I know what you mean. Well, it's good to have had you on this podcast. It was always good to hear your side of wrestling. This is the closing segment of the Contenders Corner podcast, and we thank you and appreciate your time here on the show. With one more question to move one more question moving forward. This one, what could I ask now? Is there a way out for WWE?
Yes, there always is. I think they just need to freshen things up a bit, work on the product that goes out onto our screens a bit more, maybe step away a little bit from PG and make it a little bit more, tiny bit more risque maybe. I think there is always a way out. I think they just need to work harder on the products, draw more people in, bring older viewers back, maybe just mix it up a little bit. I think that's all I need to do. Instead of seeing the same old thing all the time, let's mix it up a bit and keep pushing that.
Was John Cena a great call to bring back, especially with the heat from, they've had some big stars released? Was that a good call to bring him back?
Yeah, I would say so. I think John is, and always will be, he's a bit of a Marmite character. You either love him or you hate him. And whatever he does, he's still one of the biggest stars, probably the biggest star they've produced in so many years. Him bringing back, even if it's only part-time, he's great on the mic. He can still work it in the ring. Why not? I mean, it's not going to do any harm, in my opinion. So, yeah, keep bringing Cena back.
It's a privilege to have spoken with you about the errors of WWE. We appreciate you for coming on this episode of the Contenders Corner podcast. This is your time now to promote FCW. Tell YouTube about FCW.
Well, FCW, we are an E-Fed called Forbidden Championship Wrestling. We try to bring as many fans in as we can to watch the products that we do. We're trying to be the best E-Fed out there. And hopefully a lot of our fans will agree. We've got a pay-per-view coming up soon, SW Homecoming. The main event, Alex Carter will defend the International Championship against Shawn Piper in a 30-minute Ironman match. We're heading towards Ignition, one of our biggest events of the year. So if you've never heard of SCW, look us up on Facebook, SW Forbidden Championship Wrestling. your views mean a lot to us. So please thank you, our owner, Michael Boyle. Big shout out to Michael. Hopefully he'll be listening to this, and yeah, just come and check us out.
Yeah, we was planning on having Michael Boyle on the show tonight, but obviously he's not very well. So hopefully in the future we'll have you both on the show. And thank you again, Scott Cater, for coming on to the show. We appreciate it. At least having someone from FCW come on to the show. Way! Thank you very much for coming on to the show. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again in the future.
Will do. See you later.
See you later, mate.